Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the QSport Diaries. Now, it's been a few months since my last video in the regular series documenting my return to competitive pool, and I will bring you up to speed on that in a subsequent episode in due course. In fact, I had hoped to make such an episode during the summer, but alas I couldn't find the time, and thus the world was deprived of watching my first ever YouTube Shorts. But instead, I've decided to break the series up a bit and try something slightly different. An old video has been doing the rounds on social media as of late, of this outrageous pink and black pulled off by Alex Higgins in a friendly game against John Virgo. That video was taken from this VHS from the mid-90s, John Virgo's Snooker Loopy.
That's our way, me and him and them and me.
50 of the most amazing trick shots. I've seen quite a few people try to recreate this clearance, including Stephen Hendry on his Q-Tips channel, and, well, I'm nothing if not incredibly original, so I'm going to have a crack at it as well, along with a few of the other trick shots I remember from this VHS masterpiece. And to round the video off, I'll be attempting a trick shot that I myself have devised. So, without further ado, and through the magic of editing, to the snooker table! So, here we are. And this being the first video of its kind that I've ever filmed, I've tentatively gone for a two-camera setup. One static one at the end of the table, and the other being manually operated by my wife. This created a slight logistical problem as, not being the attention whore that I am, she doesn't want to appear on this channel. So to get around this, whenever her face is in shot, and seeing as she is the sexiest thing in the world to me, I'll be superimposing onto hers the face of the sexiest celebrity on television. Which, as I'm sure all my UK viewers will be aware, is obviously Martin Roberts from Homes Under the Hammer. Anyway, for shot 1, I've decided on a blast from my past. My very first QSport trophy was actually won by me being the only one in our junior league who was able to pull this off. Nearly 30 years ago, and I've never attempted this shot since. The aim is to play the pink towards the middle pocket. The white should then rebound off the opposite cushion and come back to pot the pink. That's the face of a man who now knows he's still got it. And for a brief moment, it's like it's 1997 all over again.
Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident.
Mourning the death of the rapper known as Notorious B.I.G.
For this next bit, I decided it was time to whip out my equipment. But after being told in no uncertain terms by the manager to either put it away or leave the premises immediately, I zipped my trousers back up and moved on to the next trick shot instead. As you can see, we have the black over the corner pocket, guarded by these two reds and flanked by these two Qs. The aim is to play the white around the angles to come back and pot the black without moving the reds. At the risk of destroying any vague sense of jeopardy here, I completed this shot quite quickly. However, my joy was short-lived when, not that this is a low-rent Mickey Mouse DIY operation or anything, I realised I'd forgotten to press record. So after some groaning, many swearing, and a bit more angry cue chalking, I turned the camera back on, reset the balls, and lined up to have another go. And now,
these are a few of my favourite
trick shots. This time, I've assembled 3 Qs in the corner pocket in a sort of funnel, tripod, pincer hybrid. Once again, we'll be sending the cue ball around the angles, but this time, the white should funnel in between Qs 2 and 3, hit the back of the pocket, rebounding to run down Qs 1 and 2, to ultimately knock the black into the middle pocket. Yeah, piece of piss, mate. Unfortunately though, my initial complacency was about to be dealt another blow, as on my very next shot, the devil was looming sadistically over my shoulder, preparing to bend me over and do some truly terrible things to my anus. My original plan had been for that previous shot to be the first in a series of 3 similar trick shots, in which the difficulty level would gradually steepen. The next was to see me balance the pink along cues 1 and 2, with the goal being to pop both it and the black. I'd even remembered to bring a small piece of paper to hold the pink in place. On the original snooker loopy,
That's our way, we're all snooker loopy.
VHS I took this shot from, John Virgo managed to extract an entire anecdote from the existence of a trick shot book that neglected to mention the requirement of a piece of paper to keep the pink on the cues.
Soulful.
And I'd looked forward to attempting a similarly impressive feat. However, no matter how I set the shot up or how perfectly I hit it, it was impossible for the pink to achieve enough momentum to even reach for black, much less pot it. Clearly,
A brand new Strachan Superfine cloth.
had been rejected in favour of a standard fine cloth in this case. But, with my back against the wall, and the pressure of realising I only had the table booked for another hour, through sheer bravery and determination, I gave up, and moved on to the next shot instead. Again, same principle as the last shot, the difference being that the pink is now in the path. So what we're trying to do is hit the pink to send it up and down the cues to pot the black. To paraphrase the late great Murray Walker,
It's some 17 years since you bought McLaren. You've had some good times and you've had some bad times. What do you remember best?
I don't remember buying McLaren.
with half the shots completed, there are still half the shots to go. That feels as fitting a moment as any to remind you that if you're enjoying this video, please do remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. I know it's a bit beggy, and no YouTuber likes doing it, but the reason is because YouTube's algorithm pushes and rewards videos that get the most engagement. Hence why rage bait and lolcow brain rot videos are so prevalent on this godforsaken platform. In other words, the more likes and comments a video gets, the more visible and easy to find it becomes for others who might want to watch it. Anyway, that's the obligatory call to action taken care of, and now, back to the video. And now for a trick shot I've seen countless times, but never yet had a go at myself. Mainly because, especially back in the 90s, I had no idea how or where to procure a tube that looked like these ones. And the modern internet age isn't as helpful for this as one might think, as the search engine results for snooker tube range from completely irrelevant to what the fuck are you talking about. Running low on ideas, and seeing as my wife and I don't want children, I briefly considered asking if she'd be kind enough to donate her fallopian tubes to my YouTube video prop box. But it turns out the logistics behind this wouldn't be particularly convenient. Luckily, I then remembered that these vitamin tablets I'm currently on come in a tube. I won't mention the brand name, seeing as they're not sponsoring this video, but if you too want to be full of both youthful vitality and fluorescent, luminous urine, I'd absolutely recommend seeking them out. Anyway, to the shot. Here we have the white tight against the bought cushion with the black perched on top of it, while down here we've got the pink balanced on the tube, flanked by the triangle. And what we're trying to do is to pop the pink, the black, and the tube. Now, since I utilised my staggering genius to resolve the tube conundrum, and because of my wretched failure on that other shot earlier, which, you know, wasn't my fault, obviously, here's an unplanned bonus trick shot for you. And here to explain what I'm going to be attempting, here's John Virgo, dressed as Captain Hook. In case you're wondering, yes, I do know the context behind that, and no, I will not be providing it.
And what we're going to try and do is to pot the black. And the way it works, I hit the tube with the red, the tube will disappear from under the white will drop down on the cushion, run across the table, and knock the black in. That's played by Captain Hook. There you go.
Very good. What he said.
Except using the white and the pink instead of a red and the white. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, as I attempt to recreate Alex Higgins' insane pink and black. See, I wasn't clickbaiting you. Russell Brand I am most decidedly not. Although of course the most glaring difference between Russell Brand and myself is... As I mentioned at the top of the video, this clip has resurfaced and been widely shared in recent times, thanks to the newfangled wonder of the internet.
It's a game changer.
But, at the risk of sounding like a hipster, I was very aware of this clip long before it was cool.
There's one thing I cannot stand. It's post-ironic hipsters.
Having watched the original VHS pretty much on repeat as a child, to the point where I could almost recite the whole thing off by heart. In fact, come to think of it, that was probably the first in a ridiculously long line of glaring red flags of ADHD that would end up being overlooked. Still, it only took a mere 30 years for that to change, so no harm done. Anyway, for the uninitiated, here's what I'll be trying to recreate. For additional context, Alex Higgins is trailing and needs to clear up to win the frame on the black. To further complicate things for himself, midway through the break, he proclaims,
I'm playing the black one-handed.
You're going to play the black one-handed?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the middle.
I'll hold you to that. You're going to play in the middle as well.
And undeterred by making a complete horse's arse of the position from blue to pink, he then proceeds to do this.
Be there, baby. What a player. Why is something else?
Wow.
And black in the middle, one-handed.
Black in the middle, one-handed. If you do this, I'm giving up.
That was the idea.
I'll give up after the pink anyway. How have you got that?
I know, sure, I visualized it. And if you believe it, you can do all sorts.
I give up.
Okay, rock
Brilliant.
on. Thank you. Cheers.
What can you say?
As I also mentioned, Stephen Hendry had a go at this on his channel recently and, well, he didn't have much luck with it, to be honest with you. In fact, even on the successful attempt, which wasn't immediately preceded by pulling off the pink, he went in off. Just rubbish, really. What the hell does he know about snooker? So now, let's see how I get on. And owing to what I just said, for me to deem my effort to be a success, I will not be allowing myself any kind of fouls, and I must correctly pot the pink and black in consecutive shots. As is no doubt becoming as obvious to you as it was becoming to me, this was somehow even harder than it looked, and what I was trying clearly wasn't working. I therefore realised what I had to do. I had to make a tactical retreat, dig down deep, and get inside the mind of the hurricane. And after 6 large Volcran oranges, half a pack of Embassy No. 1s, and a regrettable physical altercation with a passing local, I returned and lined up for another go. I mean, it's not a perfect recreation, but if anything, that's an even better positional shot than Higgins is. And remember, to call this a triumph, I had to pot the black, in the middle, one-handed, on this shot. or go right back to the beginning. So, with the pressure on, I took a deep breath, lined up the shot, and went for it. But unfortunately, no sooner had I struck the cue ball did my wife's focus turn to a photo on the wall of her beloved Steve Davis. Happily, she remembered what she was there for just in time to capture the black flying into the middle pocket. So there you have it. What a challenge. But what a remarkable feat on my part to get that black on my very first try immediately following on from that pink. And with that, the main objective of this video has been achieved. But if you're up for indulging me for a little bit longer, in a move that quite possibly points to some deeply repressed pain and humiliation kink, I've come up with a trick shot of my own that's arguably the hardest of the lot. To make matters worse, there were only 20 minutes left on the clock before the two Finns who had the table booked after me would be coming to boot us off. Faced with the immensely daunting task ahead, I took some solace in the knowledge that I'd practiced this shot on a pool table a few days prior. But this solace crumbled to dust when I remembered that, even on the smaller 9-ball table with its more generous pockets, I hadn't been able to pull it off then either. So, what are we trying to do here? Well, as you can see, we have the brown at the far end of the table, and a mini triangle consisting of the pink, blue and black at this end. My evil plan is to double the brown off the baulk cushion, sending it down the table onto the pink, which in turn will simultaneously plant the blue into the far left corner pocket and the black into the far right corner pocket. In terms of a name for this shot, I'm going to call it the plant-based Riot. Get it? It's a play on plant-based diet and involves an elaborate plant. And Riot because it rhymes and speaks to what a fun and crazy guy I am. Anyway, enough chatter, let's give it a go. Yeah, much like the fart of someone on a plant-based diet, that first attempt stunk the place out and brought everyone in the immediate vicinity to tears. It also set a grim tone for the next few minutes. Until, at long last, a near miss of such emotional magnitude that it knocked me off my feet. Surely this would be the springboard to finally conquer this hellish shot of my own creation, before riding heroically off into the sunset. On the contrary, if anything, my next few attempts seem to regress into an increasingly infantile and underdeveloped form, to the point where, had Graham Dott been watching, before eventually, finally, with time, stamina and patience all running out, it all came down to this. As you can imagine, the cruelty of this wafer-thin denial was too much for me to handle, and at that moment, at the tragically young age of 35, I passed away. And by the time I'd respawned at the nearest hospital and made my way back to the club, Not only had both cameras run out of memory anyway, but my time was up, and Kimmy and Mika's time was now. As not Pierce Brosnan would often put it in the Tomorrow Never Dies PS1 game, but do let me know in the comments below if you decide to have a go at this shot, how you got on, and what other trick shots you'd like to see me attempt the next time I make a video like this one. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, do remember to leave a like before you leave. It only takes a couple of seconds, and as I said earlier, it really helps me and the channel out. And if you're really keen, or just bored and have more time to kill, do also check out my existing videos, as well as my other links in the description. These include my Ko-fi, where I upload my videos that fell foul of YouTube's broken copyright detection system, my Twitter, on which I seem to be shadow banned now, thanks to all the mean things I keep saying about its utterly ridiculous owner, my Instagram, and my Blue Sky. Both of which I'm quite new to, and, thanks to being a very old man now, I'm struggling to get the hang of or utilise properly. But that aside, thank you once again, and I'll hopefully be back with new stuff very soon. Ugh, Nathan, you flaccid cheese-laden penis of a man, you.